was once a time many years ago where Brawl Stars was ruled by a group of 6 elite brawlers, all with their own unique classes. There was the Dashing, the Toxic, the Stealthy, the Stuntman, and the Buzz. And also the Assassin. But then one day, they all joined as one and became known as the Assassins, and over the next 5 years, they recruited and grew to become 17 of the most deadly faces to ever walk in the grounds of Star Park. So I captured them all and put them in a jail cell, and they're gonna compete in 10 challenges for their freedom, where only one assassin will be crowned the victor. And one of the most prominent things in Brawl Stars is damage. So of course, the first thing we sent them off to do was take down the training cave bot, where they could use anything they wanted to, but they did not start with the super or hypercharge filled. Obviously, Stu was off to a slow start because he has to fill his entire hypercharge all while his fire from his super never actually stacks, so a few hundred damage per second was basically nothing even when the hypercharge was filled up. He already takes over a minute to complete, but then we see Edgar, who fills his hypercharge fast due to his abilities, but even with his super, his scarf punches still do 90% of his damage, so he takes about 32 seconds to succeed. Sam actually kept crashing the game with this, but basically once he gets his hypercharge, he can spam Sam supers in and out at lightning speed, making those 5 seconds great for his takedown speed. He now takes 27 seconds. Shade, though, only has one consistent source of damage. With that, there's not much to do besides tap, and it takes him almost 44 seconds. Mortis, even with the buffies and his whole new build, is not too fast with this. I'd imagine his old reload gadget would do him wonders here, but he basically tries to optimize ammo within his hypercharge and spam hyper supers while he gets the chance, but he still takes a whopping 70 seconds. Buzz is kind of like Shade. Nothing but tapping for the perfectly consistent takedown speed. Unlike Shade though, Buzz ends the task in under 38 seconds. Fang is not too good at this. He does get a constant flow of supers after some point, but it takes him a while since his reload speed isn't the best. His popcorn gadget does minimal damage, and with all of these factors, he takes 41 seconds. Miko has a phenomenal initial burst of damage. The problem though is after that it gets reduced tenfold because of his miserably slow reload speed. This put him at 51 seconds for this challenge. Melody though, her notes being able to add up over time makes her do damage fast to the bot unlike any other assassin because ramping up is her specialty. She does it in roughly 19 seconds. Lily kind of faces an issue that gives her a slight disadvantage, and it's that her hypercharge actually hurts her play here because it reduces the amount of super she can use since she goes into the Shadow Realm. Because of that, she has to wait to hypercharge and she ends up taking 30 seconds. Allie though, she's popular but not good at taking down health any higher than that of a brawler. Her painful reload speed actually puts her at the bottom here with a nearly 73 seconds to compete. Gigi is somewhat talented at spamming supers since up close it recharges so much of itself. Once that's filled, the rest of her mission is fulfilled because she just super spams her way to victory in under 28 seconds. Crow does exactly what you've tried to do in Training Cave. Once he fills a super, he's basically done in under 9 seconds. Leon now gets a teeny tiny bonus from his clone, but not too much. Since he still has a slow reload speed, even buffy Leon takes nearly 50 seconds to complete the challenge. Cordelius uses combo shrooms and the Shadow Realm to powerhouse his way through the bot, but since the super itself does no damage, the Shadow Realm is actually beneficial for him as it increases his reload speed. Cord wins in about 40 seconds. Kenji does similar work here where he just spams on top of the bot and fills supers, uses supers, and repeats. His damage is great with his super since it always hits, and with that he almost matches Cord, actually going in under 40 seconds. And for Kaze, she prefers Geisha form since she can spam fan supers that slice the bot up with its edges, and her damage ramps up fast enough for her to win in under 23 seconds. And the first challenge is done, so now for scoring, first place gets 10 points, second place gets 5 points, third gets 3, fourth and fifth get 1, but dead last, they lose 2 points. So for our first update, Allie goes negative, Sam and Gigi get 1, Kaze gets 3, Melody gets 5, and Crow gets 10. For challenge 2 now, we have a similar setup because this one is all about how much damage they can deal with one hypercharge. So again, it's the same bot, and Stu's hyper begins pretty terribly as you would imagine because he's just fast and sets stuff on fire. Edgar keeps up the same momentum he did in the last challenge where he really just spams jumps and punches all the way until the end. Sam does the same thing as last challenge, except starting with his hypercharge shows just how powerful his burst damage can be. Shade though, his hypercharge isn't really something that's meant to increase his max damage, it just makes it easier to do max damage, so he's screwed. Mortis gets his returning supers, which means that compared to the rest of his kit, he can actually spam a lot of supers and cycle the button to get more out. And he gets a longer buffied hypercharge. Buzz is still like Shade, where he just hurls all of his attacks for consistent regular damage until his time expires. As for Fang, he doesn't get to spam as much supers as we had hoped for, and this results in him performing not too well. But Miko, he does even worse. His super alone lasts longer than his hypercharge, so his only option was to use some attacks. Melody quickly builds up her music momentum, and from there she does about 5,000 damage per second all the way through for a good looking result. Lily uses repot once and then a regular super at the end. That way she gets 2 hyper supers out of her hypercharge instead of just the one she would get if she went into the Shadow Realm. Allie though, she's back again with another measly burst that does not do that much damage compared to her peers. Gigi gets a quick moment to spam some supers and use all of her ammo at once, setting her up for some pretty nice offense. Crow is Crow. He does the thing where he just jumps up and down again, and he becomes the only brawler to kill the bot. Leon gets all sorts of mini perks with his new buffies, which increases his damage a lot, but not enough to put him as high as Crow. Cordelia's gets one wave of really fast ammo bursts, and honestly with that he does pretty decent, I think. Kenji rips super after super, and even though they do good damage, they kind of take a long time to use, which ultimately punishes him. And finally for Kaze, she does a similar thing again as a Geisha and slashes and fans the crap out of the bot. And that concludes the Hypercharge Unleashed challenge, which leaves Stu and Dead last for -2, Melody and Kaze for 1 point, Mortis for 3, Sam for 5, and Crow for another 10. But this is nothing like the third challenge because now damage plays 0 role. The brawlers now must cross a bridge of 20 tiles in the fastest time possible. No obstacles, but structures will be made to reasonably assist their abilities. So Stu obviously starts off light and fast with his infinite supers, and he flies straight to the finish line in record-setting speed. Edgar can use his hypercharge and gadget to not only get a speed boost, but 2 supers to help him. Sam only gets the speed from his knuckle busters really, and his legs struggle to bring his old body to the finish line. Shade gets to go super fast at it with his hypercharge and gets a little speed boost with the help of his 1 star power. Mortis the Magnificent surprises us with how washed he actually is, because the original Dasher still doesn't score among the fastest. Buzz though, he gets 2 well-placed supers from his hypercharge and brings him to victory to score pretty well. Fang gets just 1 kick to fly through half of the stage, but then he's left running the rest for himself. Miko gets a few jumps, and it was confirmed that his super actually does not help the move here, and he just gets moderate time. Melody does just as well as you expect. 3 swift K-pop dashes is all you need. Lily though uses her hyper super bounce mechanic for an insanely fast time to cross. She went so fast I have to loop the footage again. Allie dashes a little faster than Mortis, especially in Predator mode, and she surely makes him jealous with that. Gigi gets to super through half of the course, but that's it, so she kinda sucks at this. Crow finally finds a challenge that he doesn't absolutely dominate. Although he jumps through it fast, he is not the number 1 here. Leon gets all these invisi boosts from his kit and sprints to the end, doing pretty well for a brawler who doesn't even dash or anything. Cordelius though, kinda like Sam. He has a super for some movement speed, but that's about it. Kenji though finally makes some use of the dash gadget, but since his super doesn't leave him at the end, there's no point in using it. And finally for Kaze, she dashes a few times as a Geisha and then switches forms to super into the end. And with this swift race of a challenge, Lily takes the crown, followed by Melody and Stu, with Buzz and Kaze getting pity points. Sam and Cordelia is tied for last, and I decided that they would both lose 2 points for that. After 3 rounds, Allie and Cordelia tied for dead last with -2 points, and then at the top we have Crow in first place, Melody in second, and Lily in third. The 4th challenge takes on something a little bit different than running straight, and that's this wacky brawl obstacle course. As Stu bashes through the start, he'll show us that the brawlers have walls, slow pads, water, and a lot of basic obstacles to pass, and with Stu's super he skips the red tiles and uses the teleporter. The top portal here counts as the finish line. Edgar jumps in next with 2 supers madness, 1 to jump over the early walls, and then 1 to clear the water and make it all the way to the end. Sam though, he gets nothing and has to run the entire obstacle course. This isn't pleasant, and we both know that this time will not be great. Shade does the opposite though. With his super, he goes straight through every obstacle and runs to the end like a good little ghost he is. Mortis gets to go kind of fast, and now with his Creature of the Night gadget, he can later skip the teleporter and bat his way to the end. Buzz gets something similar with his infinite supers, but he only gets to skip the mini maze and then get to the first portal a little bit faster. He still takes decent time to get to the end. Fang saves his hyper super until he gets around the first maze, where he can then use it to cross the river and skip the final wall to get straight into the end. Miko just jumps over wall 1, towards wall 2, and then over wall 2. Talk about a fast run, am I right? Melody though, she's just not that good at navigating obstacle courses. The Melodies are for the first time let down here, as her 11-second trial will put her near the bottom. Lily uses her hypercharge to run faster, and then surprises us with an Ender Pearl that gets her all the way into the end, under 10 seconds. Allie, I mean, she kinda cheats. As a swimmer, she just goes up and around the map, and dashes her way to victory once and for all. Gigi does something similar to other dashing brawlers, where she just wraps the map and then skips on over to the finish line. Crow, Same thing. He of course has to weave through the regular map, but aerodynamics come in his favor as he dive bombs the final portal in little time. Leon can dash through the track, but he is not making it there first. Or last though, so I will give him that. Cordelius uses the Shadow Realm for a little bit of a speed boost, and unlike the straight run challenge, he gets a little hop that lets him reach the portal much faster. Kenji also gets unlucky because he kind of just dashes like Mortis and his super doesn't trigger any portals, so he can't do a big brain skip. Kaze finally goes in and breaks her green streak, dashing and supering in the open until she wraps around and finally makes her way to victory. And as the fourth challenge concludes, Edgar scores first place with 5.3 seconds, followed by Miko and Shade, and then Ali and Stu. Sam took last place all by himself this time around. But let's forget speed and damage because the fifth challenge is probably something you've seen in a Kairos Time video. Skulls! In this version, the assassins will get one attack, one gadget, and one super use. The rest of the rules are pretty self-explanatory. So Stu's super of course does better paired with the breakthrough gadget, and then he gets one blast from his beams for a total of 54 skulls. Edgar kinda gets the shaft here because his hard landing isn't really that strong, and neither are his punches, so he comes in at a measly 26 skulls. Sam pops a gadget and throws his knuckle busters, as well as some punches behind him, and this gives him 37 skulls. Shade comes in and for whatever reason, this hyper super gadget attack fails, but I let him try again and it finally works, and this time he gets 47 skulls. Mortis plays the game with his spinny gadget, long dash, and quite simply, he totals 62 skulls. Buzz gets to throw a max range Bowie and then slaps some skulls, but he only ends up with 38 broken. Fang does some beautiful work now with his popcorn gadget, and it was all fun and games until I had to count it. Once he used a super and a kick, he scored a whopping 204 skulls. Miko was kinda weird. His super performed as expected, his attack did well, but he just could not do anything to break skulls with his gadget. It's clearly not meant to be. Melody has a weird kit, but I decided this for her. She can use the notes, the range extended gadget, and one dash, but then yeah, she also gets the one attack that hits the skulls. She still only got 97. Lily just chucks a super into nowhere and does the exact same thing with an attack, scoring 24. Ali literally gets 4 skulls, man. What's she gonna do now? Gigi can super outwards and kind of spin once, but what's that doing? It's doing 27 skulls. Crow is up, and I know you're all ready for this. His score now gets even better with a throwing gadget and his knives, and when you combine all of his abilities at the same time, he scores 380 skulls. Leon's super and clone projector do jack doo-doo, but at least his regular attack has function, right? 28. After Leon, we then see Cord, who doesn't really impress much further, as his attack and super only beat Leon by 2 skulls. But then we take a turn for the better, since Kenji's hyper super has a big circle in it, and he can nuke a bunch of skulls off the map. Paired with Slash, Kenji breaks 118 of them. And for Kaze, she uses her super in Geisha form and then attacks in Ninja form to maximize area, and this gives her a total of 97 skulls to end the 5th challenge. So in first place, we obviously have Crow, who's won his 3rd challenge already, followed by Fang and Kenji, and then Melody and Kaze. Last place brings us Ali, of course, with her 2nd defeat so far today. But Ali might not be losing the 6th challenge, because now we get taken into the poison pit where the brawlers all have to survive for once, and they will all be enduring the ongoing pain of the storm pit until their defeat. So for Stu, he lets his health trickle down quite a bit until he pops his hypercharge, and with that, Stu lasts for 12 seconds. Edgar though, he gets one meaty Frank delay punches on, and while he does that, he uses a shield gadget to prolong his life, as well as just one jump to negate some of the storm damage. Edgar lasts a whopping 13 seconds before falling. Sam only has his Hardy Recovery star power to rely on, but since he has such a high base HP, he sticks around for pretty long, also ending up with 13 seconds alive. Shade though only has damage reduction from a star power. This doesn't do him very well, and he's gone in 8 ticks. Mortis gets his hyper super and a creature of the night to use to both restore his missing health and then dodge the storm for a moment. The brawler even dies, so he reaps his soul with the first star power, maximizing gain and giving him 12 seconds. Buzz just stands there and looks pretty for 9 seconds. Tankiness is next to godliness, I suppose. Fang gets a good shield every 3 seconds and actually makes him able to survive much longer until the storm then ramps up, where he then just gets eviscerated in 9 seconds. Mika though, he's able to fly above the storm pit since it's not actual showdown gas. Because of this, right before Bro gets cooked, he jumps in the sky and lives on for 14 seconds before finally getting defeated. As for Melody, she doesn't really have anything to elongate her life with, so she kinda just melts away and dies. What else did you expect? Lily tries to escape the dangerous fog by going into the Shadow Realm, but to no surprise, the fog was still there. She died in 8 seconds. Ali gets one grand healing attack thanks to her gadget, and I was sure to pair it with her super's attack so it did more damage, but all that healing only got Ali to last 10 seconds in the storm pit. Gigi though, she had it worse. She only has one little healing ability, and outside of that, she melts away in 9 seconds. Crow, our reigning champion, actually does a lot worse. He can jump over the storm for a tick or two, but his shield shield isn't really protecting him anymore, and he succumbs to the storm in 8 seconds. Leon does much better though, because he has healing for every second for a majority of his run, but that only got him 12 seconds to tie with many others. Cordelius, I tried like 20 times. I could not get him to eat all 3 mushrooms in the pit, so he just got to have 2. But I don't think it changed that much because he still only got 9 seconds. Kenji though, he pops off. He heals with every attack, and when he's almost out of health, he uses his super that not only restores a bunch of his health, but also resets the storm clock. Rules are rules, and I permitted it. He ends up living a long 18 seconds before it was over, but he of course was limited to just 1 super. And Kaze, she shares the trait with her husband of resetting the storm ramp up by switching forms. So basically, she did that and maybe brought up a bit of health on the way, getting 11 total seconds. So for this challenge, Kenji obviously crushes it with first place, followed by Miko with 5 points, Sam and Edgar sharing 2 points for 3rd and 4th, and then Stu, Mortis, and Leon all got 1 point for tying for 5th. Then we got a little evil because there was a 3-way caboose tie with Lily, Shade, and Crow, so I just took 2 points off each of them. And after 6 rounds, we have Crow in the lead with 28 points, followed by Kenji with 13, Melody with 12, and then all the way at the bottom, we have Allie and Cordelius, who are both in the negatives. So now we move on to the final series, which begins with the idea of the assassins playing Showdown. They're one of the most dominant classes, and gathering power cubes is critical to survival. So in this poorly made replica, you'll notice that it has 8 boxes and 4 pillars similar to the center of Feast or Famine. This race is to see how fast each brawler can collect all of them, demonstrating the event in which they have temporary loneliness in the middle of the map. Stu obviously takes a while because he only has his Razzle Dazzle, and that ultimately makes him take 42 seconds to complete, which is a lot of time in Showdown. But up next is a Showdown brawler himself named Edgar, and he sweeps and claims all the cubes between 6 and 7 seconds. Sam is able to do similar, and he has a super at spawn, so if he got free for just about 9 seconds, he could be 8 power cubes higher. Shade is pretty capable of clearing boxes thanks to his many traits, and he just needs 6.5 seconds to become your worst bush nightmare. As for Mortis, his dashingly handsome maneuvers do take a few ammo to rip down boxes, but once he finishes the task, he's only been there for about 11 seconds. Buzz pulls himself in, but that doesn't necessarily fix his timer, and he slaps the boxes in decent time, just barely beating 8 seconds. Fang though, bro's cooked. He has such a slow reload speed, but he can popcorn the boxes to lower them all, but ultimately he takes around 25 seconds to complete. As for Miko, he just jumps twice in the middle and he's done. Not a good Feast or Famine pick, but if you can pull this off, you might just prove me wrong. Melody has mediocre work, but it's hard to coordinate where the notes are and stuff for even distribution, so after it slowly gets brought down, she barely does it in under 10 seconds. Lily has a few swift strikes on the first 4 boxes, and then a deadlier series of hits on the other half. Simply done, simply 8.5 seconds. Allie is back to struggling again. She tried to do the Miko strat and had a skill issue and has to be on the grass to do it, and this resulted in her taking almost 14 seconds to complete the task. Gigi though, she does it lightning fast. Box is gone instantly, immediately ready to scare all of the brawlers. Crow, he takes a bit, but he can poison multiple boxes at once for somewhat better results. Regardless, he takes nearly 40 seconds to win because he's just not the best box getter. Leon can 2-shot the boxes while his clone runs away, and will slowly get better as time goes on. To no surprise though, he's not the fastest, and he ends up needing 30 seconds just to get the 8 cubes. Cordelius though, he's in the same boat. You can't Shadow Realm freaking boxes, so he was basically screwed from the start. He ends up needing 25 seconds to win. Kenji now slashes heroically as all the boxes break simultaneously, and he ends up taking 7.3 seconds. And to add to the beauty, Kaze also slashes all the boxes and has her final cube count in only 7.3 seconds. They love that, while I love the fact that this challenge was won by Gigi, and followed by Miko and Shade, then by Edgar, Kenji, and Kaze. Stu unfortunately took the longest. Now we leave the Showdown world behind and we return back to our roots, the training cave. And playing 4 corners, so it's more a game of agility instead of damage. Stu is able to cook the first 2 bots and then rush over, but he seems to struggle, nearly taking 7 seconds to bring them down. Edgar doesn't do too bad though. He hard landings between the first 2 bots and then smokes them, and repeats the same process on the others, finishing the task in about 5 seconds. Sam plays a weird yo-yo game with the 2 bots here, and then of course repeats the game with the other 2 bots for a win in 3.5 seconds. Shade can combo slap the first 2 bots, and then fly across the map with his hypercharge and do the same thing to the other 2. He gets it in 3.433 seconds. Mortis plays a similar game with his recoil bats and crushes 2 bots, and then dashes to finish in under 4 seconds. Buzz basically just uses his hyper to latch onto bots one at a time and brings them down to win the race in 5.7 seconds. Fang finally gets a super spam. He does it in under 3 seconds. Miko can expertly land between the first 2 bots for some devastating damage, and then it's just his goal to race to the other side and do the same in 4.1 seconds. Melody's was actually kind of hard. It takes precision and timing with where her notes are on the first bot, and then just a race to destroy the other 3. Lily kinda just super spams because she has no other choice, but it does her pretty well because she wins in 5.3 seconds. Allie does bad yet again because she 2-shots all the bots, so she slowly has to take them all down. She ends up taking 13 seconds to win the challenge. Gigi can actually do it fast if you're precise, with a zigzag move that lets you go boom boom in 2 seconds to win. Crow starts on one bot and uses his new hyper buffy to get to the second, and flies across to the others to finish everything in 3.5. Leon can one-shot all the bots, but he still drops a clone on the first one, so he gets to participate. Cordy goes to shroom shot each of them slowly, and he kind of takes a while to get the job done, once again getting between 6 and 7 seconds. Kenji takes a weird path where he supers one bot on the right, slashes 2 on the left, and then launches his final super back to the right side. It gets him 9 seconds still. Finally, Kaze tosses a super to the right and then slashes the other 2 bots, and she defeats all 4 in under 2 seconds. With that, Kaze crushes it with first place. Then goes Gigi, Fang, Shade, and Sam. And in last place for this challenge was Allie, again. As we begin to approach the final challenge, we entered one of the least liked game modes, so I'm gonna make it fast before you leave. The competitors are Max and Brawl Arena, and they try to take down the entire full health base in one try. If bots spawn, it's fair game, so there's a bit of RNG here. Stu already cleans house by opening up a devastating attempt against the base, staying way too healthy to be destroyed, and he actually kills the base in a whopping 14 seconds. Next up is Edgar, and his healing scarf only works on bots, so when they're not present, his health fades away fast. While he's alive though, he remains aggro with at least his hypercharge, but falls off after dishing out 58,000 damage. Sam stomps in here ready to just keep healing himself with his fists, but since the base doesn't recharge his super, his hypercharge is really bad and he has to run out of frame a lot, and he probably could have won this, but in this trial, Sam dealt just under 93,000 damage. Shade though, he's once again screwed. If he phases outside of the map, he still can't dodge the base turret, so no matter what, during combat, Shade's losing all of his health. He did 40,000 damage. Mortis though, he's dashing on it until a wave of bots spawns. Once that happens, he tosses a super and replenishes so much health, and he carries on until he does 73,000 damage on the base. Buzz isn't capable of much, not even really stunning for this matter, so when he dives in, it's in his best interest to just attack until he's gone. For him, that's not long, as he only does 56,000 damage. Fang kicks in and sends Popcorn up, but after that, he's shin slamming a hunk of metal until he deals 50,000 damage and then dies himself. Miko is so close to bringing it down, but Brawl Arena actually caps his damage at 10,000, so he ends up being one jump short of the terminal stomp, dealing only 93,000 damage to the base. Melody dashes in with her high DPS, but with also her high rate of being killed, she trades damage off with the tower until she's defeated. And all of that though, she did do 91,000 damage. Lily does worse though because there's no Shadow Realm for the match. She jabs and jabs, but in the end she only does 60,000 damage. Allie decides that she wants to make it worse. Since she can't ever freaking reload, she just falls in under 50,000 damage. Gigi finally does a bit better since she can just splash damage everything away, but then without her super she does go and struggle as the fight goes on. Crow is Crow. He's gonna run in with his hyper super, nuking the base in 5 seconds. Leon is similar, except Invisiheal keeps him alive forever and outlives the base so long that he fully eliminates it. This took about 14 seconds. But for Cordelius, he can't do anything and really just shrooms the base until 41,000 damage gets him killed. Kenji is also somewhat limited since he can't heal too easily, and by the time he meets his maker, he did 50,000 damage, while his wife did a similar process, scoring a bit over 60,000. And for this challenge, Crow won again. Then came Leon and Stu, as well as Miko and Sam, and then Shade in the bottom. And now, for the 10th challenge, I have 2 things. One is a poll that you guys voted for your favorite assassin, and the other is me 2 months ago at World Finals. I'm here with Ramon. He supervises animations for Brawl Stars, and who's your favorite assassin?
It's Crow.
There you have it. Oh, Crow's a Supercell favorite. Who would have known, am I right? Anyways, your poll selected the winners to be Cordelius with 124 votes, Shade with 120, Melody, good job, with 115, Stu with 107, and Allie with 104. She really needs that 1 point. Oh, and the least voted was Miko with 17 votes, so he gets -2 points. But the challenges now conclude, so before we announce our winner, we have some rewards. The most mid-assassin award goes to the least scoring appearances, which is Buzz and Fang. They only showed up once. The Void Scorer award goes to the brawler with the most -2s. You want to say it with me? It was Allie. The powerhouse with the most first places. Crow. The leader of the board actually goes to the brawler with the most scoring appearances, which is a tie between Stu and Sam. And the biggest fall-off reward goes to a brawler who dropped like 8 places since the 3rd round. That was Buzz. Where'd he end up? Let's check the results. Allie got dead last, so she's a goner. All of these brawlers did not qualify for top 5. Melody got 5th place. Gigi gets 4th. Miko and Kaze tie for 3rd and 2nd place with 17 points. And Crow gets 1st place with 38 points. He gets to fly away free, but the rest? I don't make the rules.